I have Charles Gibbs here today. And his company is Know Your Lane Coaching LLC. Now, that has a very special meaning, doesn't it, Charles? Could you tell us a little bit about Know Your Lane?
Yes, I think Know Your Lane coaching, when I created it, was all about the thought of having team play, having everyone, for the most part, understand the role that they're playing in the business and do the
Ah,
best that they can at it. Okay. It doesn't mean that you don't know other people who are playing other roles, but at the end of the day, in business, it's all about team play. Everybody needs to be synchronized in behavior, particularly because the old saying, you only get one chance to make the first impression. And this may be your first impression from the person who answers the phone when an outside party calls in, okay, or to the person. In my case, I was in the car business for a long time. I sold Mercedes Benz and other Highline cars. But in my case, it was always the person's either first visit to the store or, second visit or third visit. And they wanted a replication of behavior. They wanted it to be good all the time. And I thought about that all the time. And that's the power of Know Your Lane coaching, is it helps your team players from the owner on down to be synchronized with behavior and thinking.
do you train salespeople for organizations, or do you work mainly with, say, the CEO or president of a company, or do you do a little bit of both?
I have a, I do a little bit of both. My preference is that the person at the top understands not only his or her culture that they're trying to create, but understand that without a synchronization, regardless of the relationship you have with the person, because there's a lot of family people, okay?
Yeah.
Um, your customers deserve consistency in behavior and the relationship in itself. And I feel that the years I spent understanding and learning this and not being the owner of the business, and the fact that I wanted to be a good team player, a good role player, it came with a purpose. And that purpose started the minute I walked on the premise. And I can teach the mindset side of it, how you need to be thinking in order for you to put your personal on the shelf and think business.
So this does come back around to culture and creating that mindset where people are really for the business and want to see it succeed versus a person who has an attitude they're there just to punch a clock. And you certainly need the former more than the latter. Uh, how do you create that culture? Yeah, I guess every project you take on has a different set of problems. So I imagine you have to do some customization. But could you give us maybe an example of what you ran into in a particular project and how you handled it and how you were able to help them make progress, real progress?
Yeah, no, there were several companies I came in contact with, and what I discovered literally was it started with the mission statement. Okay,
Ah,
it's not true
yeah.
clarity there. Okay, so if you're not clear on the message you want people to receive from your company and how you do business, it is really tough for you to have your team to be consistent in behavior. So the clarity
Mhm.
actually starts with the mission statement. Maybe you need to rethink it. Okay. But once the mission statement, in other words, how do we want our customers, prospects, and others who interact with us to feel, particularly our customers, clients, and patients? How do we want them to feel? It must be done with a purpose and understanding initially, because it's tough to get that outcome if you don't understand what it is you're looking for.
Well, it sounds like the employees, from that standpoint, are your first line of customers, basically, that you've got to get them to buy in to the mission statement. And once you get the buy-in, things start to fall in place. So there seems to be a little bit of work there as well. Is there?
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, people have to believe that the food is good. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
sure.
If they don't believe it, trust me, it'll show. Because people, we do it, I do it. You go in a restaurant and you ask the waiter or waitress or whatever the case is, how is this dish? And if they say I've never eaten it, I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Because you need to feed people in order for them to have the experience and express it the way you want them to. And I say that because years ago, in between some of the things I did, because I didn't just do cars, I actually worked for a food company, okay, that sold quality steaks. I mean, the stuff you'd go to five-star restaurants to have. And the
Oh,
first
yes.
thing they did for a week is fed me, okay, everything that they had. And I'm telling you, it was the best experience. So I was lit up when it came to expressing how great our cuts were as far as the meat was concerned and how fresh our vegetables were. And the fact that the biggest benefit is that we blast froze the vegetables after fully being ripened in the field.
Oh,
So
and you're
you
able
talk
to
about
impart
getting
that
fresh
kind of
vegetables.
knowledge. Oh, you're able to impart that knowledge to people when they
Absolutely.
might
And
be
it's
asking for where it came from or how it was treated, and you happen to have firsthand knowledge. What a great way to train people.
absolutely helping
Yeah,
people to buy and not selling them is part of it. You got to know what you got. And a lot of times there is no training, real training. There's product training, okay?
yeah,
But there's not relationship training. You don't build a relationship with a product, you build a relationship with a business, okay? So you can do your product training as much as you want, but when it comes to having your team to be team players and to feel the emotion and the experience and the excitement of being a part of something you're asking someone to become a part of, those are
right.
internal emotions that if you get them screwed up, trust me, your external behavior will show.
That makes perfect sense. That does. Uh, you've got a lot of knowledge. You've actually read the greats like a Napoleon Hill and people like that. Nightingale, I think this might be one,
Yes,
Earl
Earl
Nightingale.
Nightingale.
Yeah, that you've followed some of the big players out there and learned a lot. So there is something to educating yourself to be able to get into the batter's box and bring out the mission, be able to support the mission. I'm a big believer, Charles, that people buy from people they like. And if you're for the business and you're excited about what you do, they're going to like you a lot better than you sitting there going, I'm sorry, sir, I don't eat steak. I'm a vegetarian. What kind of steak did you want again?
Right.
That is such a turn off. I can imagine if somebody said, well, Mercedes are great. They look great. I've never driven one.
Right.
Somebody says that to a prospect, they're just out of the mission statement and they don't have the firsthand knowledge they really need to have. That kind of thing. So I really follow you on your perspectives of all of that. How do you build a strong team? Firsthand knowledge and making sure people have that and they're excited about what they're doing and they have a full knowledge of the mission. I love what you say about that. I think that's
Yes.
fantastic.
I just think that a lot of people don't realize how easy it is for you to almost express, but without really knowing that you're doing it, that you don't believe in what it
Right?
is that you're doing. Okay. You don't believe in your product. You don't believe in who you are. Okay. And I believe that there is a way for you to be conscious of that. Okay.
Yeah.
That you can be more straightforward. And most of that is about the types of questions that you ask. Our life and business of helping others to get what they want, okay, is built around the type of questions that you ask. And if you don't get good at asking the right types of questions at the right time, if you will, under the right circumstance, okay, it's going to almost be impossible for you to ever be quote unquote good at helping people to buy where other call selling. Okay.
Wow.
Because it really isn't selling. It's
Yeah.
about solving somebody's problem.
There's another area that you're interested in, uh, as far as coaching goes and implementing AI. Uh, you have a bit of an interest in that. How are you thinking of using it? Because that's based on prompts. If you're not putting the right statements into an AI platform, you're going to get garbage out. So
Right.
just as the type of questions that you ask as a sales advisor for cars, for example, that's how critical it is. And when you're dealing with this new intelligence platform of AI, you got to ask the right questions and the right statements of what you're asking for in the right way to
Right.
get better and better results. So it's almost like learning the same art there. But I saw that you had an interest in AI. Do you have any comments on how you might be using it in the future?
Yeah, I'm an analog guy. I came before Google. I even came
Yes,
before the
yes.
internet, if you will. Okay. And so I rely on my ability to really, if you can program AI to ask the right types of questions at the right time, it doesn't have to have a heartbeat. Okay. It can just be the fact that people ask the question, answer the question, ask the why, the what, the who, the where. Those things can be done through AI technology. Okay. How you answer the question and how flexible the programming is to help respond in a way that is somewhat human is crucial. Okay. Nobody wants, I ask even when you ask a person a question and they never answer it, it bugs you. They just go off somewhere else, and it's like, no, 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 come back here. I asked you this question, please answer it. And you can program systems to almost kind of do that now. That's how far AI has come, and it's going to get better at doing that type of thing. Okay. And that's what I really do like about artificial intelligence is that it'll never take the place of the heartbeat. Okay. But it will take time wasting away to a point. And I'm
Good
really,
point. Yeah, that's a good aspect of it. I think that's where it lies right now. We have human intelligence. It's really called emotional intelligence.
right.
And a good advisor has that ability, the emotional intelligence, to be able to read people and what they're really looking for. Because they may say one thing, but it's actually something else. But it's the answer lies in your ability to ferret that out, to be able to see it throughout the language that. And sometimes it's just the way people move and their body sickness. There's just a lot to working with a human versus throwing something in a machine. The machine it could be a time saver. I think you're absolutely right about that. To take
Yeah.
a lot of the grunt work out of there that's just not necessary for humans to do and spend more time building human relationships with each other and spending the time really getting to know each other at a deeper level so there's a greater understanding between people. And that's just a general statement, but when it comes to sales and being interested in helping people get the right thing that they're actually looking for, sometimes people don't know exactly how they need something, but they're not quite there yet of what it is they actually need. And to be able to ask the right questions to find out what are the strongest benefits they're looking for, then you're able to say, well, this does have the features that will give you those benefits. So you're helping them make choices. It's kind of an emotional intelligence, getting a little bit inside their head just to get to know them, to understand where they're coming from, what
Oh
their
yes,
lifestyle is,
and
and all that.
I
Yeah.
always felt, and excuse me for interrupting you. I always felt that
No, not at
it
all.
is
Not at all.
important. It is important if you really want to be helpful that you ask the types of questions that reflect that. Okay, because and someone once said this in conversation. One of my many trainers that I've had and listened to that we really are as salespeople. We are like doctors. Okay. We have to help people to be able to rationalize, to think through the process of getting and maximizing the benefit from what you just did or thinking of doing. And if
Yeah.
we really want to be needed and and respected, do more of that. Help people to make the right decision. There's only two ways to make a decision: informed or uninformed. Which one are you?
True.
Okay.
Which one are you?
And
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
supposed to be, there can't be two ignorant people in the room. Somebody's got to know.
Yeah.
Because if there are two people, ignorant people in the room and helping each other to make decision on which direction to go, good luck. Now, I believe that this world cannot exist without salespeople. Okay. But I do believe that we can exist in a different form, and that form to be what I call problem solvers extraordinaire.
Well, that's the people that make the wheels turn in the economy for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with you on that. Well, I want to thank you for the time today and laying it out of what it is as far as sales go. Could you tell me a little bit about how that relates to different industries? And are you kind of in the coaching teaching mode when you go into a company and listen to, okay, this is the problems they're having, and you're looking from the mission statement down and how everyone is interrelated? That's a quick study of being a great listener, Charles, that you have to do that to understand what their problems are. They say one thing, but you're looking for the root. And
Yes, and your
that's
chart
your
starts
talent.
with your,
That's
yeah, the
yeah.
chart starts with your mission statement. I almost any company that I'm going to call on, I go and look at their about, and I actually come across companies that won't put that up. If I don't know what you're about, why would I want to do business with you? And if you are afraid to let people know what your business belief systems are, how you go about servicing your customers, then you need to rethink that. Because the more
So
you can do
yeah.
for me, the more value I have in you.
Ah, right.
So I don't want to run around looking for another place to do business to get the services and the product that I want and need. You know, I had three other Mercedes Benz stores that were pretty close to me. And so nobody really had to buy a Mercedes Benz from me. Okay.
True.
So I wanted them to have motivation. And I really did believe that our service, the owner of the company and his belief in servicing I was younger then, much younger then, and I was all over it because I thought that, hey, the better you make people feel after the purchase, the more customers they'll send me and the more customers they'll send you. So let's make them
Well,
feel good.
that's the truth of the matter. Yeah, that is the truth of the matter for sure. One other question to ask you is, what would you like to tell your younger self from all the wisdom you've gained over the years? What would be the most important thing that you think your younger self should know?
I would say understand the power of problem solving. Okay. Because people taught me to be a salesman. They didn't teach me to be a problem solver. I believe if you stop selling and start helping and know what that means, helping people to put their decision making together, there's going to be times that what you got doesn't fit. And you got to be prepared for that. But that shouldn't stop you from helping people to make an informed decision based on the interest that they have and the benefits they expect to get from it. Okay? Because this is what I knew. You cannot go to the shores of Lake Michigan and get a Maui experience, period. Okay? Both
Well
of them have
said.
water, right?
Yeah, that's
Coast,
well said.
you know. So it's a whole different experience, and you must respect that. And if you're not selling the best, then don't, stop the embellishing. Don't act like it. I was
There you
selling the
go.
best. But anyway, that's just me.
So telling your younger self that would certainly put him on the path that much sooner if you had the ability to do that. So
And then
that's a
you can
great
just get
story.
better at it. The better you get at solving problems and the bigger the problems are that you solve, bigger the paycheck. I'll leave it at that.
Aren't you, you're a little bit of a prospecting superstar. You do get in there and talk to people and ferret out someone who's just a lead to someone who's a real prospect. They kind of separating the wheat from the chaff, as we used to say. But
Right.
you've been very good with that sort of thing in your life.
Yes, sir. That's how you manage time. Okay. Because I knew that I had people that bought cars from an itch. Okay. It's kind of like, oh, I got
Yeah.
this itch. I think I need to change my car. And I had people who rationalized the purchase. It's kind of, and this was before a lot of leasing. And then leasing came and that almost put a finite on it, because the lease term was only so long you had to do something. Okay. But for people who own it, there had to be a different motivation.
Certainly.
And so I enjoyed being around the product. That's what it was not the best product for me from a financial perspective, from a portfolio perspective, but that's a different story. That's another thing I would tell the young me. Get into the financial world, leave those cars alone, buy your own. Uh, I didn't do that. I should have. I know that now, but hey, it is what it is.
Well, that's just the path not taken. That's all. So you can always, opine about that sort of thing, about the paths you could have taken. I certainly can tell a few stories about the paths I've passed up, or even the businesses I've had, Charles, where people gave me suggestions
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't listen to those suggestions or implement those things because it just didn't really fit where I was. It was probably the money at the time, or what
Right.
it would take to implement something. And did I really want that change?
Yeah.
And there's examples of that I could give you, but that whole thing about that is you sometimes miss those opportunities that could have just made the difference. A good example of this is a company called Odeo. They started out wanting to build a directory of podcasts and music and such like that. Then this company came along called Apple, started iTunes.
Mm.
They were running out of their startup money, and they realized that they're going to get crushed if they stayed with the same idea. They had enough money to get another idea going, but they needed to do something within a week or two, or they're just out of cash. It was that close. And
Mm.
someone on the table there, when you look at that teamwork of working together, somebody had to come up with an answer. Somebody did. They said, we ought to do short form messaging. And that Odeo became Twitter. And
Right.
that's the thing about pivoting sometimes in business to find the right path. And we
Right.
all go through as entrepreneurs, and there's the paths that not taken, but you have to believe in the path that you're on, why you
Right.
do what you do. And you're certainly helping companies get back on track with why they do what they do and the mission statements and building the culture. Because if that
Yes.
isn't built from the inside out, you just are going to have some trouble along the way. You're going to have a lot of
Are you going to have
turnover
kids
employees that are not happy.
misbehaving? You
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it's going to be so much inconsistency that you don't even know if people are pointing people to the bathroom in the right direction.
Well, I
I
want
mean,
to thank you for today. I've got to roll
okay.
and get going. We had a super call. I want to
No,
thank
this
you
is
very
great.
much. I'll put your contact information at the end so people that want to meet you, certainly they'll know how to get a hold of you. Thank you so
Sounds
much,
good.
Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.